Now back to 1990, Rocky and Felice's crew got pinched. They got charged with a government called Operation Good Ship Lollipop. It was a major RICO case. These defendants were charged with running a multi-million-dollar gambling empire, loan sharking, extortion, and the murder of two bookies. This is a major RICO case in Chicago. Here's the government's star witness in the Good Ship Lollipop case, B.J. Jehoda, a real scumbag lowlife, one of the worst men I've ever laid eyes on. If I was on that jury, I would not have found him credible. This scumbag lured two of his best friends to their deaths. He operated as a lieutenant for the Infelice crew in charge of all their gambling operations. He testified against Rocky and all his friends. The main defendant at this trial was Rocky Infelice. He was the boss of the Cicero crew, reported to Joe Ferriola. And he decided to raise all the street tax for every bookie in Chicago. They were paying around $2,000 a month. He wanted $6,000. And anybody that refused to pay would be dealt with and set as an example to keep everybody in line. Now, second command in the Rocky and Felice crew was Sally De Laurentiis. He was one of the defendants in the Good Ship Lollipop case. According to the government snitch, their informant, who wore a wire, he claimed that Sally D was one of the men that attacked and ended up killing Hal Smith. Him and Hal Smith had some words at Como Inn where he told him, "You, my friend, are trunk music." A few weeks later, sure enough, Hal Smith was found in the trunk of his car. Here's Bobby Salerno, made man, top enforcer for the Rocky and Felice crew. The jury hung on him in the first trial. I went to his second trial. B.J. Jehoda claimed that he was the man in black. That was one of the guys responsible for killing Hal Smith. I got a chance to talk to Bobby during the break. He told me he told his son before the trial started, even if they lose, he wants his son to continue to be a top defensive attorney. Don't worry about him. And how two of his kids turned out good and his third kid, not so good. Now, a key defendant at this trial, a guy you heard on the tapes, made member of the Chicago outfit and part of the Rocky and Felice crew, was Louis Tomatoes. BJ testified that he was one of the men in the kitchen that beat and killed Hal Smith. He also left his glasses and cigar there that later tied him to the crime. And according to Nick Calabrese, he was one of the men that took part in killing the Spilotro brothers. Here's an old Chicago outfit heavyweight, Bobby Gabit Bellavia. He was a defendant in the Good Ship Lollipop trial and also a member of the Rocky and Felice crew. He was found guilty in this case, did some time in prison, came home, is now retired and doing well. I remember seeing this guy, I think 2 years ago, at the Little Italy Fest on Taylor Street. It took me a little while to recognize him, but I eventually realized who it was. I've seen Blowjob Jehoda testify that him and Rocky co-owned a condo here at the New York building in Lakeview, which is just south of Wrigley Field. And he said they had an open door policy, that Rocky, Sally, Louis himself, that they could come and go. This is where they partied. They would bring their mistresses to. They would plan and do some of their scheming. It was kind of like one of their headquarters. Blowjob Jehoda, as I call him, when he testified at the Rocky and Felice trial, he claimed that after they killed Bobby Plummer, he came in the door. They were all wearing gloves on, and Rocky said to him, the next person that comes in that door is getting the same thing. He also testified that he'll never forget hearing the dying sounds, the horrible sounds that Bobby Plummer made when he was getting killed. Here's a photo that the prosecution showed up on the big screen, showing part of Rocky's crew. On the left, you got Harry Alleman from the old Wild Bunch crew. Behind him, Big Mikey Large Sarno. In the middle, a defendant in this case, Bobby Gabit. Right next to him, the leader of the crew, Rocky and Felice. And Rocky's right-hand man, Sally De Laurentiis, also known as Sally D. Now, with every government snitch, rat informant, whatever you want to call them, there's a reason they cooperate. B.J. Jehoda was looking at some serious time in jail. He decided to wear a wire, cooperate, and testify against Rocky and his crew. B.J. wore a wire and got Sally D, Louis Marino, and Gabit on tape threatening people with violence, threatening to give them a pumpkin head, a turban, and one guy was screaming out as he got stabbed with a fork. Now, once B.J. Jehoda lured Bobby Plummer to the room, he was beaten, he was cut up, tortured, strangled, and killed. They found him in the trunk of his wife's car. Bobby Plummer was an associate of Chicago outfit, a debt collector for Joe Ferriola, and he's also one of the bookies that refused to pay a higher street tax to Rocky and his crew. Now here's the beautiful house in Long Grove where Hal Smith met his fate. B.J. Jehoda went into great detail and told the story how he lured Hal Smith, how he tricked his best friend. He got him drunk at a local bar, got him to go back to his house for more drinks. He said, "Hey, I'm going to go check the mail. Go through the side door. It's already open." Hal Smith fell for it. When he walked in, all the guys jumped him and killed him. During the closing argument, the prosecution reminded the jury that Hal Smith wasn't just any bookie. This was one of the largest bookies in the country. He was bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars. When Rocky and his crew found out how much money this guy was really bringing in, they upped it from $2,000 to $6,000 a month. Hal Smith was adamant he wasn't paying that money. He had words with these guys. He ended up in the trunk of his car. Now, the government's star witness, the unbelievable lowlife B.J. Jehoda, he testified that after he lured his best friend to his death, the very next day, he took off to Mexico, only to return a few weeks later to start cooperating with the government. There's Joe Nago, Joe Ferriola, a.k.a. Mr. Clean. His crew consisted of Rocky and Felice, Sally De Laurentiis, Bobby Salerno, Bobby Gabit, Louis Marino, and a few other heavyweights. Joe Ferriola died of natural causes, and according to Nick, was one of the men that were there when the Splotchos were killed. Now, he did attend the Rocky and Felice sentencing. He came out in an orange prison jumpsuit and was raising his voice, practically yelling at Judge Ann Williams, who's known as a hanging judge, that he did not get a fair trial, that B.J. Jehoda and other witnesses lied and committed perjury on the stand, that he was a World War II veteran that fought against one of Hitler's toughest regimes, and that she should cut him some slack in the sentencing. At the end, she gave him 63 years. Here's U.S. Attorney Patrick Fitzgerald. This guy put away everybody. Guys like Joey Lombardo, Frank Calabrese and his crew. He put away Harry Alleman. He put away Rocky and Felice and his guys. He helped flip Bob Cooley, which opened up the first Ward investigation. He put away Betty Lord Maltese and Michael Spano and a dozen others. The lead prosecutor at the Good Ship Lolipop trial that put away Rocky and Felice and his crew was no other than Mitch Mars. This is one of the best U.S. attorneys in the United States. He put away all your Chicago outfit heavyweights. He was victorious at the Family Secrets trial. And shortly after the Family Secrets trial, this poor gentleman died of cancer. Now here's the late Alex Salerno, a gentleman, one of the finest lawyers that I had a chance to actually meet and get to know. He represented his father, Bobby Salerno, in the murder of Hal Smith. Bobby Salerno was so proud of the fact that his son was representing him at a major federal trial. He told his son, even if we lose, I don't want you to hang your head low. Don't worry about me. I'm an old boxer. I could take it. I want you to continue. Top criminal attorney Patrick Tuitt, he represented Rocky and Felice at the Good Ship Lollipop trial. And he definitely had his hands full. The tapes that the prosecution played were a little hard to overcome. However, I love the way Pat attacked BJ Jehoda on the stand. He really went after him, exposing him for the liar that he was. But at the end, the defense ended up losing. Here's a photo of Rocky and Felice and some of the defendants leaving court, heading back to the MCC. All the defendants were found guilty in this case. Rocky and Felice died in his 80s in 2005. Sally D was released a few years ago. He's in his 80s, retired, doing well. Bobby Gabit has been released. He's in his 70s, doing well. And Louis Marino and Bobby Salerno, unfortunately, have passed away.